Hello everybody! Welcome to our first paint along video. I've always wanted to try doing this and now here we are. Today, in the spirit of a new season, we are going to paint a spring bluebonnet Texas landscape. I'm going to use acrylic paint. The colors we're using today are cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, vermilion, yellow ochre, cad yellow medium, and burnt umber over here. And we're going to be using just these brushes. We're going to use a number 6 liner, a number 2, 4, and 8 bright bristle brush. So these are water-based paints and they dry rather quickly. And you can use a lot of water with it and paint transparently, or use it just right out of the tube, real thick and opaque. Okay, so let's go. Okay, we have an 11 by 14 canvas board, and we're going to go ahead and put a drawing down first to guide us through the painting process. And in landscape painting, we're going to go ahead and establish our horizon line first. And we want to keep our horizon line away from the middle of our canvas, splitting it in half. I like to put it a little bit above the center. And if the sky is something that's more in focus, you would have it a little lower than the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and place it about in here. And I'm just using a regular number 2 pencil to draw this. So that's our eye level. We're going to go ahead and put a little hill coming down right here, I think. And let's put a nice big beautiful Texas oak tree over here, a nice big live oak. So there's the main trunk. You might have a major limb going off to the left right there. Maybe another one coming out right here. And we're just going to kind of indicate the shape of the tree a little bit. I think that's a nice shape. There we go. And maybe we'll have a little bush entering the composition over here. Keep us from falling out of the corner. That'll work. And how about some nice beautiful hills back here. Nice hill country view. There we go. And I think that's really all we need to get started on our painting. Okay, let's get some paint on here now. There was one other color that I needed to put on my palette. I've squirted out some titanium white, and I've mixed that with a little bit of cobalt blue. And we're going to go ahead and start laying in the lower part of our sky. And we're going to let the lower part be lighter in value than the top. And there we go. And I'll punch a couple holes in the tree here. We want some of that sky to show through. There we go. A little more than what I need, but the leaves will cover up if there's too much. All right, I'm adding a little bit more cobalt blue to my mixture. Just a little bit. See, and I got a little darker. And I'll put that above where I just painted. And then pull it down into that color that's still a little bit wet. Get a nice smooth transition. Pull it all down to there. Not all the way down to the bottom though. Same on this side. There we go. Again, some more holes in the tree. And now I'm going to add just a little more cobalt blue to it. And just a little bit of ultramarine blue just to warm it up a little bit. Ultramarine blue is a blue that has a tiny bit of purple in it. So we'll consider that a warmer blue. Cobalt's more of a primary color blue. There we go, that's nice. So we'll put that up above that last blue and pull it on down into it. It's still wet, so we can get a nice transition. And over here as well. We don't want the top of that tree to touch the top of our canvas and kiss that edge. That's not good composition. Right, so there's our sky. Now let's lay in our hill country view back there. And we want the hills that are furthest away to be lighter, and we want them to get a little darker as they come towards us. And this is considered the background of the painting. The middle ground would be here in between the foreground and the background. So we have three really distinct planes of space here. Now I've taken my titanium white and added a little bit of ultramarine blue to it, and just a tiny bit of burnt umber to gray it down. Burnt umber is a really nice neutral brown color. And I'm going to go ahead and lay in some hills back here. There we go. And I'm going to pick up my smaller brush, my number 2. And I think I want to have some hills that are even a little bit lighter than that. Way back yonder. There we go. I'm going to lighten these up a little bit. Again, have some of these hills show through the tree, and it comes out the other side. Mixing up a slightly darker value color now. And I want to put this one in front of that one, just by making it a little darker. See, now you have some hills that are far away and some that are a little bit closer. Okay. Now you'll notice that I use this grayish blue for these mountains that are, or hills that are very, very far away, and I'm trying to soften the edges of them too. One way to, or a couple of ways of creating this feeling of depth in the painting is when things are really far away, they get fuzzier on the edges, they get lighter in value, and they get cooler in temperature. Now as I work forward into the middle ground right here, I want the colors to become more green. So blue in the back, greens in the middle ground, and then warmer colors in the foreground will help create that illusion of depth. I'm using a mixture of white, ultramarine blue, and yellow ochre, and a little bit of the cad yellow medium to start laying in some of these greens in our middle ground. And this is going to be a little darker than the hills, and that'll make it look like it's getting closer to us. Showing through the trees, coming out the other side. And again, I want to soften this edge back here. Nice and blurry. So we'll have that come forward a little bit. And maybe there's another line of trees here. And I think you start getting a little darker. And add some more ultramarine blue to the mixture, burnt umber and yellow, but less white this time. There we go. A little bit darker. See, now that this is darker, it looks like it's closer to us than this. Maybe there's a meadow down there, some kind of opening. We can put some bluebonnets in there. Okay. And add a little more yellow to that mixture, get it a little warmer. Yellow's a warm color. And I think I'm going to get maybe a tree up here coming into the composition. A line of trees coming through here. some bushes. Pull it on down around my bush here in the foreground. There we go. Nice. Mixed up a lighter value green now. I'm going to lay into this little meadow, this opening here. So this is going behind these trees. Same thing back here, maybe even a little lighter because that's further away. There we go. Yes. And you won't see any of that over here. All right. I think I want to lay in some clouds now. I've got my number 4 bristle brush, and I've put a mixture of titanium white, ultramarine blue, and burnt umber together to get a nice light, cool gray. And I'm going to start up here at the top, and I just want some of these nice fluffy Texas clouds. Now I'm starting off with a darker value. I'll build it up with lighter values in just a second. This is very subtle gray, and we want these clouds to look like they're getting further and further away, so we have to make them smaller down here, closer to the horizon line. Maybe I'll have a cloud go behind the tree right there, a little one here. Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to add a lot more white to that mixture. And start putting in some of the lighter values of the clouds. We're about noon, so I'm going to have the light coming pretty much straight down, maybe a little bit at an angle. And we'll hit the top of these clouds. You want the edges to be nice and soft. Wipe off your brush if you have too much paint on it. With acrylics, to achieve lighter values, you have to let the paint dry and put more light color on top of it. And it's good to have a blow dryer in your studio to help you get there a little faster instead of watching paint dry. No one likes to do that. You can switch to your smaller brush if the big one seems like it's too difficult to use. I'm going to go back in the clouds later on and touch them up some more after they dry. Now we're going to block in this foreground. I've mixed up a lighter green value here with the ultramarine blue, yellows, and white, and a little bit burnt umber. And I'm going to go ahead and start putting some of this in. This needs to be lighter than these trees right here to separate. I'm going to make those a little darker in a minute. And we'll maybe have some dirt around this oak tree at the base, which you'll find not a lot of stuff grows underneath them. And as I come forward again, just kind of like what the sky is doing, I want to get a little darker in value. Just scrub it in there. You want to work quickly, but not too fast that you're being sloppy. But you want it to have kind of a nice, fresh, spontaneous feel to it and not overdone. All right, have a little darker in the foreground now. Just a little bit. There we go. Just scrub all that in. This is all grass and leaves and weeds. There we go. And I do want to go a little darker. I'll squirt out some more ultramarine blue, but darker on the base of these trees and bushes. Again, the ultramarine blue, not the cobalt blue, with your yellows and a little burnt umber. Get you a nice, beautiful dark green. And we're going to lay that in here and transition that as it goes up. Good. There we go. Yeah. Okay. And probably need a little shadow underneath this bush here too. So it goes under. There we go. And of course the tree's going to be casting the shadow. So I'll put the dark green out here where it's green. Maybe a little bit over here. Like that. Let's go ahead and put some of this dirt here underneath the oak tree. It's just a mixture of the titanium white, burnt umber, and a little bit of yellow ochre. And maybe there's some bare spots here and there in the foreground. Don't make them all the same size. You get a large one here, smaller and smaller. It's nice to do things in odd numbers. There we go. And let's go ahead and block in that bush over on the right. I think we're going to go lighter in value on that one with a green, so it separates from the colors around it. Let's see. So white and the cadmium yellow medium, a little ultramarine blue. Yeah, there we go. That'll work. I'm just scrubbing that all in. Everything we've done up till now is really considered more of an underpainting. Just blocking in some of the big areas. When we're finished doing this everywhere, we'll go back into it and work on some of the more smaller elements. And you can go really tight on a painting, or you can keep it nice and loose. I mean, it really depends on the style you want to work in. So there's that. I think next we're going to go ahead and block in our tree trunk and our branches. So I'm using my number 2, my small brush, and burnt umber with a little bit of ultramarine blue in it. So it's not too brown. The blue will neutralize that brown color a little bit. Yeah, there we go. And out into the branches. And then of course, we'll need to switch brushes for the smaller branches up on top. So we're going to go ahead and use our liner brush. Get some more of this brown in it. And I want to be sure that our branches taper as they go up. Wide at the bottom, narrower and narrower as we go up and out. And the branches will look a little more convincing if like right here we have a Y. If one of these is a little longer than the other, it's not as interesting if they're both the same length. And let's see here, this one can be going up like this and up and out. Here's the main trunk. I'm not going to paint right there. There's going to be a lot of the canopy hiding that part. I got a little wide. I'll cover that with some green later. And maybe there's a branch coming out this way. You notice I'm steadying my hand with my pinky finger. And you want to make sure the painting's dry, of course, or you're going to make a mess. All right, we'll probably add some more in later on, but that's good for now. And while we have this brown mixture over here, I think I'm going to add it to that dirt color that I put in underneath the oak tree and put a cast shadow in down there. There we go. Yeah, nice. All right. Let's go ahead and block in the leaves on the tree now. I've mixed up really nice dark green with my ultramarine blue, yellows, and burnt umber. And we want to start with the really dark values first and then start layering lighter values on top, so that the leaves at the very outside part of the tree are getting more light than the ones deep inside of it. So I'm just kind of jumping around, watching my edges, just barely touching to make it look kind of leafy. Letting some of the branches peek through, letting some of the sky peek through. And we want these clusters of leaves to have an interesting shape. A lot of this has to do with pressure. We got a little green up there. I'm going to fix that later. See, there's clusters and big shapes of leaves. I'm so glad spring is here. It's my favorite time of the year, I think. All right. Put some more there. And maybe we'll let this tree kind of hang down a little bit closer to the ground. When they're out there in the middle of nowhere, they're not trimmed, and so I want this to look like it's just doing its own thing. Maybe I'll let this side be a little lower than that side, not the same. Okay. All right, I just dried my painting, and I'm going to go ahead and use a lighter brown now for some of the light that's hitting this tree through the branches. And I'm going to go ahead and have my light come from the upper left. So you know, maybe some of that dappled light will be coming through there and hitting the branches here and there. And you got to remember that this acrylic paint dries darker. So if you put it on there and it looks just right, it's going to dry and get a little darker and won't look the same. So you have to compensate by making your colors a little lighter than what you really want. There we go. And I think we're going to go ahead and go back into our clouds and see if we can't get some of those lighter values. Now that it's nice and dry, I'm going to use my titanium white all by itself without any water to it. Pretty thick. Yeah, see, now we're getting lighter. We have the bottoms of the clouds, that nice beautiful gray, because they're not getting that direct light. There we go. Nice. That'll work. Okay. I think now we'll go back into our oak tree, and we're going to go ahead and talk about focal point or emphasis in composition. The focal point is the star of the show. Although there's a lot of trees in this picture, we're seeing this one close up in its entirety, and it's really the most special thing in here. So this is definitely the star of the show. We're going to give him a little bit more oomph than the rest of the painting. So let's work on some slightly lighter greens. Got that light coming from the upper left. Excuse me. Spring allergies come with the spring. There we go. Got to use a very light touch. Yeah, very light. Light's coming this way, hitting the left upper parts of these forms. Yeah. Okay. Pretty nice. Maybe I'll go even a little lighter now. Same mixture with the yellows and the ultramarine blue and white. Oh yeah, look at that. All the paintings that, well, most of the paintings I should say I'm going to be doing with these videos are going to be intermediate level paintings. We're not going to get real complicated with them. I want to keep them simple enough where a lot of you can, you know, try to follow along at home. And the younger ones can watch and learn, I think, too, and do their best. All right, I think we need some lighter greens over here too in the bush. So more yellow, more white to my mixture. This is a really light bush. Not covering up all that first green. I want it to peek through. Yeah. There we go. I might put just a tiny bit of that way up here. That light's really hitting the tree. Okay, I think we need a few branches over in this area for this bush. Going back to our number 6 brush. Our liner with the ultramarine blue and burnt umber mixture. And let's see, just the tip of the brush. Don't use very much pressure. There's some branches kind of peeking through here and there. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And maybe next to that we'll have a little family of cacti. So just like the tree, I'm going to go ahead and use my dark first for some of these pads. There's going to be some lighter ones too. I like cactus. So there's our darks. We'll let that dry and go back to that later. Okay, I think we're in pretty good shape. We could probably start laying in some of our base colors for our bluebonnets. And I'll be right back. Bluebonnet time. I've mixed up some titanium white with a little bit of ultramarine blue in it. And I'm going to start putting some of them in way back here. And you're not going to see, of course, individual little bluebonnets. You're going to just see a field of blue. Not solid, though. You want to break it up, and you still want to see some of that green. Maybe there's some way back there. There we go. Now we need to jump all the way over here to our foreground. Now we're going to leave the little individual flowers here in the front part. And then as we get back here, I'll show you, we can really just start blocking it in. Like this. A little bit here, a little bit there. There we go. A lot of bluebonnets out in the area right now. It's a beautiful season of them. We had enough rain and enough sun where they're just gorgeous this year. All right, so we're going to stop right there. Now this next part down in here is going to be a little more tedious. We're going to be painting them just individually, but I think I want to go back into the greens and get more of a variety of greens in here. Because this is the foreground and it's very close to us, we're going to see more variety of color and values, more contrast. And so let's go back to this dark green and get some texture in there too. So I'm kind of using the brush a little different, as you can see right here, using the edge of it back and forth. Kind of dancing around. There's a rhythm to painting. Sometimes you paint slow and careful, and other times really fast with a lot of energy. There we go. This is just more of that dark green that I used from the tree. Now that these are dry, I can take some of this dark green and put at the base of this. There we go. Nice. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and dry that, and we'll get started on the bluebonnets in the foreground. All right, I've got my number 6 liner brush with some ultramarine blue in it, a tiny bit of white. And well, I'm just going to get started on these. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to start on the left side and work my way this way so I have somewhere dry to put my hand. But it's just a matter of coming in here one at a time and start dropping these in, and they got a shape like that. They're a tall flower. And some are touching each other, some are by themselves. We want to put these in kind of a random way. And the ones that are here closer to us, of course, are going to be larger strokes. And as we move further away, the strokes are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and lighter and lighter. I haven't put any light ones in yet, but I will. So I'm not going to make you watch every stroke of these. I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off and just fill this whole area, and then we'll continue. Okay, there we go. We've got lots of bluebonnets now in the foreground, and I've added some white to that mixture so that these will look like they're getting lighter and lighter and further away until they kind of blend into that blue that I put in there previously. So this color is going to go right through this area. Put a few over here next to the oak tree. And I'll finish this up and come right back. All right, so I've completed all the ones over here closer to the tree. And now I'm going to take a very light blue, almost a white, and we have to hit the top of each one of these little bluebonnets. They're lighter at the very top. I'm not going to make you watch me do this to every one of these, so I'll go ahead and finish it and come back. Okay, look at all those bluebonnets. Very nice. I think I want to get some fresher greens, some brighter greens in this foreground. Colors will also become more saturated, or they'll look more saturated the closer they get to the viewer. So let's mix up a little bit of a more saturated green with the cad yellow medium and the cobalt blue. And go a little bit brighter here in the foreground. Just put it in here next to some of these blue bonnets here and there. Just a little bit. Kind of like putting salt on your food, you know, just a little bit. There we go. That's all. And I think I want to get a lighter, more vibrant color in this bush over here on the right too. Again, I'm paying close attention to the edges here. I want that to look nice and leafy. Good. And let's put in some lighter value cactus pads, some of our light green that we have on our palette. There we go. And maybe I'll put a few blossoms on there. That sounds like fun. A little vermilion and yellow ochre, tiny bit of white. And we'll just put a couple of blossoms in there. That really stands out, that red next to the green. Very nice. And I'm going to mix up just a little more white in that same mixture, just to put a slightly different value in there with it, so it's just not one solid color. There. Okay. And while we have that vermilion and yellow ochre over here mixed up, I think I'm going to put some of the cadmium yellow medium in there too. I want to make a kind of a reddish orange color. And we can put in just a few Indian paintbrush flowers. You see those hanging out with bluebonnets all the time. Generally, there's not as many of them. A little more red, I think. A little too orange. There we go. Some Indian paintbrush always makes the scene look nice. Yeah. There we go. And they actually have a little white on the top of their bloom, is just like the bluebonnet. So put a little light on the top of those. Okay, that's good. Well, getting there. All right, I have a mixture of yellow ochre, vermilion, and burnt umber here. And I'm not going to use very much of it on my brush, but I just want to slightly put a little bit of this warm rusty color into the leaves. Not very much. See, I'm using hardly any paint at all. And these trees back here, just a little bit here and there. And if I add some white to that, and a little more burnt umber, I can put in some of the grass that we have growing out there in the hill country. See what color that is? Kind of a taupey color. Starting at the bottom and wiping up. A little bit of grass. Dead grass. Break it up a little bit. All right, so that is our bluebonnet painting. Like I said, it's really an advanced beginning or an intermediate kind of level painting. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm going to start working on another one, and hopefully we'll have that ready in a couple of days. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing everyone back in class real soon. Bye-bye.